Hey, Johnny Skywatcher here, bringing you two news stories today. First being the new photos released by Vanity Fair for the upcoming Dune movie, which I covered yesterday when they only had shown the first picture. So I'm going to cover those. And then also the possible confirmation that Sam Raimi is directing Doctor Strange 2. Almost said Spider-Man 2. He did direct that though. Let's get into it. Dune. After releasing the first look yesterday, which was just the first picture, they released an article today which has even more pictures and some more information about the movie and behind the scenes stuff. And before I get into that, I just want to make a quick correction. Yesterday I said that Caladan was not in the first Dune novel, which I was corrected by, who was it? Johan616. It is actually in the book. And I looked it up myself, and it is actually in the first couple chapters. It's been a long time since I read it, and it doesn't really feature that much. And everything that happens, I think, nothing unique happens on Caladan in the book. And it's stuff that could easily just as well has happened on the way there, except for the initial request for the House Atreides to be put in charge of Arrakis in the first place, which is the inciting incident for everything that happens in the novel. But aside from that, it's not a big part of it, and so I still think it is a little weird that that's the first image that was revealed, especially since getting to the first picture. This is more of what I would expect from the first reveal of Dune. If you're at all familiar with Dune, like any of the movies or the book, you look at this and you think Dune, right? I'm gonna be looking over here because my notes are down here and the image is not for me up there. The major thing that is recognizable as Dune for somebody who's familiar with Dune, they're wearing that whole earpiece, and then the stealth suit, which is the full body suit meant to preserve water in the body because Arrakis is such a dry place and water is so important. I remember from reading the books, they talk a lot about the foreigners and like the main character Paul being off world. He's from the Caladan I didn't mention yesterday. It's a very water filled planet, and to the people of Arrakis, people like Paul are water fat, or the since water is such a precious thing on Arrakis or Dune. Anybody who's not from there don't have any idea what it's like to live in the desert. And so the Fremen have this special bodysuit because they actually live like way out in the desert, because they're sort of the Native Americans of the planet. They were the initial settlers long ago. And Paul, the main character played by Timothée Chalamet, and his family are basically given. Well, let me see how much I can remember of the plot. It's been a while, but they're it's sort of a Game of Thrones in space. If you're not familiar at all with the book, so the Emperor, because there's an empire, and in the important thing about Dune is there's a special material which is mined from Dune called spice, and spice is only found on Dune, and it's very important for everything that happens in the Empire. It's what is needed for them to be able to travel through faster than light, and it's a super drug, and it extends people's lives, and it does all these other things, and basically it's an essential. And at the beginning of the movie, House Atreides, which is the family that Paul is a part of, it's a noble family, and they are basically given the Dune, the planet, to be, they're given the responsibility And there's a whole plot reasons as to why that happens and why it's not necessarily a good thing. But I won't get into spoiler territory with that. The still suits are very important for that, for conserving water. I don't even remember where I started with that. Also in this picture is Lady Jessica, which is Paul's mother. If I recall correctly, the reason she's called Lady Jessica is because she isn't actually married to his father. It's sort of a noble. She's not part of a noble family, and then that's the reason why she's a concubine. And not going to go into that because that's spoiler territory. But let's move on to the next picture. This is gives you kind of a good look. Well, not really. This kind of gives you a look at the full House Atreides, but not really because it's kind of all in shadow. But there's it seems like in terms of cinematography, from what we've seen so far, there's a lot of play with shadows. This isn't going to be obviously like TV lighting. So I mean, these look really good. I think you see some of the characters that aren't in other photos. I don't know who everyone is. I think there was one person standing next to Timothy is playing Thufir Hawat, which, if I remember correctly, is a Mentat. Which, okay, another big thing, if you're not familiar at all with Dune, is in the universe of Dune, when this is taking place, it takes place, I don't know if it's thousands of years. Basically, in the past, robots took over, and then we had to overthrow the robots. And after we did that, basically humanity outlawed robots, and there's a law saying no thinking machines allowed. And so, in response to that, what you have are these people who are basically trained. They might be biologically modified. There might be some genetic engineering. I don't really remember, but they're human computers. And I think, if I remember correctly, Thufir Hawat is a human computer. If he's not, I will put some correction there. I'll try to look it up. Next image. So this is Zendaya as Chani. She is a Fremen. Without going to spoiler territory, from what I remember, she becomes a love interest. So she's the love interest of Paul. This is behind the scenes with, I still don't know how to say his name. I know someone commented it, and I won't even Denis Villeneuve. Maybe Denis Villeneuve. Let's go with that. And Javier Bardem. I don't know who Javier Bardem is playing. I didn't see it mentioned in the pictures itself, but it gives you another look at the Fremen Sioux. Let's move on. This is another picture of Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica. The one thing I will say about this is, Lady Jessica is a former member of the Bene Gesserit, which are a huge part of the Dune mythology. I don't really remember a whole lot about all the specifics to do with them, but they're also commonly called witches. In the terms of just simply explaining Dune, they're witches. They don't have literal magic, but as close as you can get in the Dune universe, they have that. I think they have a thing which they call the voice, which is basically they train themselves specifically to be able to say things in a certain way that compels most people to just do it, or something along those lines. Bene Gesserit are very much about, they're able to control everything about their body, like to an insane extent. If they want to lose weight, they just lose weight because they're in control. In this picture, it looks like this. I don't know if this is going to be reflective of the costumes for the Bene Gesserit in general, or this is just one thing for her character. But if it is for the Bene Gesserit, they're kind of going with like Jedi robes almost. Like she looks very Sith-like, which I'm okay with. I think looks good. I remember in the 1984 movie they had some really weird kind of back things going on, and yeah, I don't remember being a big fan of that. Moving on. This is our first look at Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto Atreides, the father of Paul Atreides, the main character. I don't know. It looks like I'm not really a fan of the big bushy beard. Just as not so much having to do anything with the character, but just as a general like looking at Oscar Isaac with the bushy beard. I don't really like it. I do kind of think of him as being a little younger than what I imagine Duke Leto being. He kind of looks, especially, I don't know. I'm not sure how old Timothy is, but he doesn't really look young enough to be a child of Oscar Isaac. I mean, age-wise, I have no idea, but yeah, that's my one issue with the casting of Oscar Isaac is he doesn't look that old enough to be a father of at least maybe early teenager, but Paul almost looks more like his early 20s, and Oscar Isaac doesn't look. I mean, I don't know how old he is, but he doesn't look old enough, and the bushy beard isn't really doing it for me. The next picture, this is Josh Brolin as Gurney Halleck. Let me see if I can remember. I think he's like a weapons master of some kind. And I think that's the role. And also Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho. One of them is a weapons at arms or that kind of role. I don't remember which one. I do find it interesting, Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho. For one thing, I think this is the first role I've actually seen him in where he doesn't have like a bushy beard. And the other thing is if they get to adapting further books like later in the series, Duncan Idaho becomes a very important person. I'm not going to go into anything more than spoilers, but he becomes a very big part of some of the stories that are told later in the series. So I think it's interesting that they cast someone like Jason Momoa. To me, I don't know if that's something they're looking forward to in like potential sequels in having a bigger part for him, or if it was just done for this movie. And the next picture, this is Sharon Duncan Brewster as Liet Kynes, and this is the one character that is being changed somewhat from the original. In the original book, Liet Kynes is the ecologist, and he's a guy. I don't think it really changes as much or has that big of an impact to have it played by a woman. Before I can move on to the next news item, I just wanted to remind you to, if you like this video, please subscribe and click that like button. And I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. And yeah, I'm not going to say any more than that. Just, mentioning it. Okay, second news story. So did Sam Raimi confirm for directing Doctor Strange 2? So this has been rumored for a while, ever since Scott Derrickson left the project for creative differences in January. And yeah, a lot of people have been saying the name Sam Raimi. So today, Sam Raimi was doing an interview with comingsoon.net about his upcoming Quibi anthology horror series. And so he was talking about the Easter egg he did in I keep mixing the two up. The Easter egg he did in Spider-Man 2. And he kind of implied that he was working on Doctor Strange 2. So this is the quote. He said, I loved Doctor Strange as a kid, but he was always after Spider-Man and Batman for me. He was probably at number 5 for me of great comic book characters, Raimi described. He was so original, but when we had that moment in Spider-Man 2, I had no idea that we would ever be making a Doctor Strange movie. So it was really funny to me that coincidentally that line was in the movie. I gotta say, I wish we had the foresight to know that I was going to be involved in the project. Now, this is not it's pretty much a confirmation if we take this quote at face value. He says, I had no idea that we would ever be making a Doctor Strange movie. Marvel hasn't come out and announced him as the director, so I don't know. I think that's pretty much every news site I saw was saying either Sam Raimi confirmed or they were saying implied. And because I had to look around a different couple of websites to find the exact quote, which is a little annoying because, like, okay, Sam Raimi confirmed, and where? Like, what did he say? What exactly did he say? So yeah, this I think definitely confirms he's working on it. Things can still change, which is probably why Marvel hasn't confirmed anything. I mean, they already confirmed before that Scott Derrickson was working on it, and now he's not working on it. So, until things really start shooting, or, even then, things can change. But I think it's pretty clear he's working on it, and he's definitely set to film it. We'll see how all the filming stuff is up in the air right now, so we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. I hope this does turn out to be true, because I think Sam Raimi directing Doctor Strange could be interesting. I really liked Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movies. I liked Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. A lot of people did not like Spider-Man 3. It does have a lot of issues, and hopefully if he's willing to come over and do another Marvel movie, then that means he's more comfortable with it. I know in Spider-Man 3 there was a lot of pressure being put on him from producers to do a story that he didn't really want to do. I mean, Sam Raimi wasn't really interested in Venom, but everybody, all the fans and the producers wanted Venom, and so that's why we got Spider-Man 3, and that's the reason why Spider-Man 3 was the way it was. But hopefully that doesn't become the case with Doctor Strange 2. I mean, one thing, Kevin Feige has run into issues with that with other directors. The original director for Ant-Man is a big one. He left. Edgar Wright. I'm trying to think if they've had some others too who have left the projects because Marvel does a really good job at keeping their movies sort of in the same universe, but at the same time, it seems like they run into creative problems with directors who really want to do their own thing, and then they realize they're not going to be able to do that. And they had that issue with films like Iron Man 2. A lot of problems people have with that movie, which I really enjoyed. But I do acknowledge it has some issues. A lot of the reason that people have problems with that is that they blame on Marvel pushing certain things on the director, making them make the film a certain way, and not just letting the director make the film they want to make. But we'll just have to see what happens with that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and yeah. And then going back to Dune, I forgot to wrap up my final thoughts on that. I like it. It looks great. I'm much more excited than I was by the first image. The first image was kind of like, okay, this looks like something, like maybe you're trying to set a mood. These images definitely say this is Dune, and it looks it looks great. I'm fully on board. I can't wait to see the first trailer. I think they came out with the not the title, but the, what do you call it? Lettering? Well, the whatever that called. Yeah, I'll probably look it up and put it right there. But yeah, it all looks great. I'm hopefully it comes out this year. We'll see if that happens. And yeah, so yeah, I guess that's everything I have to say today. Let me know what you think. Are you excited for Dune as I am? What do you think about Sam Raimi directing? Almost says Spider-Man 2. Directing Doctor Strange 2. Or, well, we know the title, Doctor Strange in the Mountains of Madness. Which to me is a little weird. I mean, the Marvel movies are in that way, so not just the director, because they already have the title, and presumably Sam Raimi might have some input on the script, so couldn't the title change? I mean, maybe it could, I don't think it's anything set in total stone until the movie comes out, but yeah, it'll probably be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I almost said Mountains of Madness. That's what it's based on. The title is riffing on. So yeah, are you excited for that? Or what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And remember to, if you liked the video, like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.